We provide guidance on complex immigration issues in virtually every visa category, representing individuals who sometimes, because of their extraordinary ability in their fields or because of their substantial investments in U.S. businesses, do not require corporate sponsorship to immigrate. Each day we advise our clients on the best short and long-term visa strategies, and we counsel them in a wide range of business and family visas. On any given day, a rock star could waltz into our office. I have a guitar on the side in case one does, or a housekeeper. But because of the ethics of my father and the way I was brought up, you wouldn't know, and it would be palpably clear, and you could not tell the difference between who was in front of me. We treat housekeepers as if they're rock stars. In a nation built by immigrants, legal or otherwise, studies reveal that the role of the immigrant entrepreneur is on the rise. Studies have shown that immigrants share a small business, share of a small business ownership in the U.S. has risen from 12 to 18% over only 2 decades. That translates into more important fact that more than 1 in every 6 small business is owned by an immigrant, even as they make up just 13% of the overall population. These stats don't mean that foreigners are smarter than Americans, but it means that they're more likely to be risk takers as they pull up their roots from their own country and start fresh in this nation. With immigrant business ownership come jobs and income. An estimated 4.7 million U.S. workers are employed by immigrant-owned firms, gathering some $776 billion in revenues. Why immigrants are more inclined to own a business is often a matter of necessity. Generally, they have academic credentials, knowledge, and drive not recognized by others, and they begin by hiring others themselves. No doubt, the war on terrorism has seen the dialogue deteriorate as media groups pit us against them, who argue that people shouldn't have driver's license and trying to keep people down. The word alien also is an offensive term when it doesn't embrace the legacy that we have as a nation of immigrants. What is surprising is the scores of immigrants that business owners that don't have college degrees or the training and practical experience available at our fingertips. Similarly, I'm pleasantly surprised that institutions such as Yeshiva University realize that the degree on your wall has no value, and they encourage creativity and innovation to face competitive job markets by having sessions like this. Not one client have ever asked me where I went to law school. I'm doing this over 20 years, my father over 55 years. Not one client has ever asked me where I went to law school. I want you to understand what that means as you seek to get into the better school, the better job, and having fancy papers and frames. It's not the content of what is eschewed in this school. When I left serving at the U.S. Attorney's Office, having assisted the government in removing some bad individuals, I moved to the private sector and now have the privilege of helping some of the most elegant businessmen and business women to our shores. I saw early on that there was a certain business model and professional that we had to become in our law firm in order to capture the attention of these clients. I had a small snapshot in time to appreciate that this was not a case, but it was a journey in life for these individuals. Thus, it was important for me to understand this because I had a limited window of time to convey that I had this ethos and I appreciated what they were going through. All of this is difficult when you get thousands of emails, you have 4 BlackBerries, and you're talking to hundreds of people in the course of a week. Creating a culture where ethics is critical in a profession that only demands it but now forces lawyers to learn ethics and teach ethics. A word on ethics is important. While I've had the privilege, for example, in marrying thousands of people as a mayor of a city, when they came to me, they'd come with a label of a suit because some of them were marrying somebody just to get a green card, and they would return the suit after the marriage. They didn't want to even invest in the suit. But when they came into my office, I had the privilege and the responsibility to then make sure that it was a bona fide marriage. Even social media and the advent of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn has to be used and girded properly so that you respect the privacy of your clients. The way you comport yourself to staff must be equally dignified as you present yourself to a client, clearly setting expectations, whether orally or in writing. The ethic that my father brought us up in our practice is to return telephone calls the very same day we receive them never to dun a client because they showed up without an appointment, and offer more value by not billing them by the hour, but doing a project-based fee such that they can satiate their curiosity and challenges and refer you to more people because they developed a personal kesher. If you look at my card, most of them, because I have an old stock here, have my cell phone imprinted on the card. Clients who are entrepreneurial in spirit will feel this passion and this energy and the way you express yourself, and they will move to others if they're not treated with that value. Much has changed in our practice over the year. At one point, we represented, if not all, but many of the Swiss, German, European banks who were moving their personnel into America. As the economy thinned and a lot of these firms took the obligation in-house, we had to really realize what we were doing. We had so many staff accommodating a financial institution. And it was important for us to make sure that we were in place in a precarious circumstance where if somebody was golfing with another law firm that did our work, we would lose that institution and then 10 or 11 people would be without work. It was important for us then to build up the other areas of practice. The 5 areas kind of help one another so that we're not counting on one part of the ledger more than the other. If certain visas cap out, we have the ability then to help those that are in harm's way before immigration judges or dealing with the American embassies in the consulate practice or compliance or otherwise. I sought to further expand our portfolio of clientele so we had a wide, thin base in different areas of industry. So we have a robust following now in the world of fashion. We represent the Miss Universe organization, model agencies, stylists, photographers, cosmetologists, hairstylists, photographers of hairstylists. We got a green card approved for somebody like that a few weeks ago. I often find myself attending provocative trade conferences in the food and restaurant and beverage areas, going to godforsaken places just because I know I'll be the only immigration lawyer there, or meeting clients when we go on family holidays in their home turf, showing a personal interest where they live and where they work. I provide copy for articles and trade publications and travel the world over, again, to enhance our portfolio in industries that typically aren't seeing a face of an immigration lawyer. If you take anything away from any advice that I would have to offer, and it's a humbling experience to do this truthfully in the presence of my father because he has a hell of a lot more to say than I ever will, that is 2 words: client service. A business is only as good as its ability to bring in clients or customers. I've always taken stock that there are 3 kinds of lawyers. I don't know where I heard this, but it's on my fingertips. There are finders, minders, and grinders. Which one are you? There's no oxygen. We learn in Hatzalah nothing else is going to work. If you can't find something, then there's nothing to mind, there's nothing to grind. It's so important for you to work on your talents, to shore up your blind spots, and to decide early on in life what you want to be. Therefore, if you face certain challenges, you can't speak before an audience, your English isn't your forte, your writing skills are limited, or you need improvement in other areas, it's time to deal with this. There isn't a student here who shouldn't be setting up a coffee to meet a leader of an industry that you're interested in so that you can spend an afternoon with him or her at their desk, seeing what they do and asking them all the questions in the world that you have. I look forward to a Monday. They have these countdowns on the radio on Fridays, looking at the days that passed, looking for the weekend. Well, my kids were younger, and forgive me if they see this video. It was exhausting being home the whole weekend. I couldn't wait for Monday, but I can't wait for Monday now because there's a lot to do and there are a lot of people to help. In many ways in my field, that's why it's considered to be the practice of law. You never actually quite perfect it. It's always a work in progress. And my father always wrote with a pencil, reminding clients and his own sons that we make mistakes. But so long as it's a process of learning together, we'll always improve things. We must develop your talent. And they're just as important, finders, minders, and grinders. But if your talent is to be a finder, you have to build a significant base of support in your professional lives now while in school. And there are a lot of tricks of the trade, and you're welcome to come see me for an afternoon, for a morning, for a coffee if you'd like. And I'll show you some of the things that I do